In this video series that will consist of 4 parts, I'm going to show you my exact systems and thinking process that I have used to scale 2 of my clients to 8 figures and also generate them over $40 million in sales. And this is also how I got the ClickFunnels 10X award that sits right behind me. Scaling your business is hard. I get it. And whenever you try to do it, things start breaking up and falling apart. And at the end, you're not even sure what the problem was. Was it the leads? Was it the lead quality? Is it my sales process, or is it because my sales team is underperforming? It feels like you're fighting the invisible enemy. It feels like you're fighting everything at the same time, but I guarantee you and assure you that this is actually a good thing. See, when you start growing your business, it starts flaring out bottlenecks that used to be hidden when you were too small. And when you start growing, it also grows the size of your problems. So it's not like those problems never existed. You were simply too small to even notice them. Now, the good news is that if you can spot them quickly and solve them, perfect. You can scale to the next level. And the second piece of good news is that at any given moment in your business, there's only 1, maybe 2 problems that you have to solve. And if you have a system and a thinking process that allows you to quickly spot them, pinpoint them with laser precision, and then put 80% of all of your focus and time and energy into solving these issues quick, then your business is going to start scaling at a very rapid rate. And this is what happened with my most successful clients that scaled to multiple 7 figures, some even scaled to 8 figures, and generated many millions of dollars along the way. And this working process works for businesses of all and any sizes. It doesn't matter if you're trying to scale your business to $1 million or $10 million a year run rate. To grow your business, you'll have to deal with issues that are specific to that next level you're trying to break into. And as soon as you solve those issues, well, congrats. Now you're the thing that you wanted to become. So without any further ado, let's discuss the system that I have prepared for you that will allow you again to quickly pinpoint and eradicate any sort of marketing or sales problems in your business so it can allow you to scale. Hi, my name is Nazim and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm a marketing consultant, and in the last 10 years, I've made my clients over $40 million in sales. And the reason why it's been relatively easy for us is because I've always followed a very logical and data-driven approach, which actually made growing my clients' businesses simple because it was always down to a few numbers that we had to tweak, and then the business would go to the next level. And that formula is actually very simple. It doesn't matter as long as you run any sort of service-based business, be it an agency, a coaching consulting company, a SaaS company, or even an offline brick and mortar business. The formula is the same. Your revenue equals your offer and the price you sell it for multiplied by marketing and the leads you generate multiplied by sales. And if you're struggling to grow your business, the answer and the solution is in one of these 3 key areas, guaranteed. Another analogy I like to make is to imagine as if your business was an audio mixer. Whenever you start growing, the audio knobs that used to be in a straight line in your business when things were working, whenever you start growing, they start going and growing out of alignment. And your job as a business owner or a marketer is to return those knobs back into alignment so that all the KPIs in your business are back in a straight line and an equilibrium that will help your business to keep scaling. And you can think of those sound knobs on the audio mixer as your vital KPIs that are responsible for your offer, for your marketing, or sales. Each one of the 3 elements have its own set of benchmarks or KPIs or data points that you have to observe to make sure that it doesn't grow out of alignment. And then if it does, well, that's great. Because 80% of the problem when it comes to growing your business comes from not knowing what the heck is actually happening or what the heck is wrong. And if you can pinpoint it with laser precision, the specific KPIs that are off, well, then that only leaves you with putting all of your efforts and efforts of your team to actually attack the problem, and it's going to be gone for good, and then you can keep scaling. Because with the modern knowledge and information on the internet, I promise you, almost any problem can be solved. The problem is a lot of business owners feel like they're shooting in the dark and not really precise with their efforts. But if you can be precise, the problem gets handled a lot quicker. And look, if it sounds too complicated, I promise you that it's not, because everything that I talk about, I've actually put into a very simple Google sheet that I'm going to show right now on this laptop. and that you can gain free access to by clicking on the link in the description down below. And it's the same Google Sheet that I use when I privately and personally audit my clients' businesses, when we brainstorm what might not be working in their business, and basically what's the big thing that we need to target now to allow them to scale to the next level. So without any further ado, let's go on to a live demonstration on my computer, and I'll show you how it works. Again, we're inside of the Vital KPI sheet. You can gain access to it for free in the link from the link in the description below. At first, it might seem overwhelming, but I promise you, it's literally the easiest thing you will ever use to grow your business, and it's going to bring you so much clarity. So from what we're looking at, we have, let's say, multiple rows and more columns, and we can go over them one by one. As you can see, again, you can actually copy this into your business and start using it as soon as tomorrow. So without any further ado, let's start. Let's start with weeks and months. Well, obviously that's self-explanatory. For the amount is basically how much money you spend on your lead generation activities. Again, if you're running advertising, $5,000 means you invested $5,000 in advertising. If you have cold callers calling, and let's say you have two cold callers and you pay them, let's say, $500 per week salary, well, that's amount invested as $1,000. You get the gist. That's why I say it's not really tied to any specific lead generation system. It's universal. Now, this one is also a bit interesting. This is the leads you generate in your business. Now, there's a big difference between leads and acquisitions. Acquisitions, again, for a service-based business, is usually calls booked. That's why in the calls T, you'll see calls taken is basically sales calls that happened. We could actually, even now on the call, on this video, we can rename it into calls, and it'll still be fine. Acquisitions is just a more professional term and goes well with the CPA, which stands for cost per acquisition. So acquisition is basically sales calls that you book. For most service-based businesses, is going to work like that. Leads is it can basically mean a lot of things. Leads can be, if you run a webinar funnel, it can be people opting in for your webinar. A lead can be basically you opting in from my YouTube channel to download this sheet for free, and then you're going to go into my email marketing system, and then you basically fall into this lead category. Lead is usually someone who gets something for free, or kind of like gets into the funnel where they start studying up your services, and it's usually a step before they decide to actually book a call with you, right? It also can be if you're sending out cold email campaigns, and in the emails, for example, you include a link to case studies, and they go in and start watching your case studies. Well, a link like from a cold email that goes to watch case studies can also be a lead, right? So what you put as a lead, again, it depends on you and your business model and your marketing system. Again, if you want a personal insight and a personal opinion about this, you can go to nazimconsulting.com and book a free strategy session with me. But for the sake of this video, let's say you run an advertising campaign and people opt in to watch your video sales letter, and then they book a call, and your CPA is basically how much you spend per booked call or per acquisition. If you spend 5,000, you acquire 20, well, that's 250 CPA. Your funnel conversion rate is basically what it stands for, is essentially how many out of the 200 leads that opted in to your funnel, how many actually took the action and booked a call with you, right? Now, guys, also kind of like pointing out the big elephant in the room, you might be asking, what does the red and what does the green stand for? Well, if you go here in the benchmarks, you'll see that for every KPI that we have a certain benchmark, we have a goal. And if our results or stats go below the benchmark, the Google Sheet is very simply coded with very simple conditional formatting to light up red or green. And that's how you easily know that that kind of, let's say, funnel conversion rate is the problem in your business that week or that month, right? So going further, calls taken is actually sales calls that happened. And calls cancellation rate is essentially if 20 people booked a call, 18 got on a call, 2 did not, your call cancellation rate is 10%. The benchmark here that I set, for example, is 10%. That's why 10% is still green and 18% is red. But this also depends on your business. I would say if you want to lay out benchmarks for your business, you have to look at your historical data and look at your best months, worst months, and basically try to understand the averages for you. Because, for example, if you're cold emailing, probably your calls cancellation rate is going to be higher than if you basically go to a YouTube channel, you watch tons of YouTube videos from someone, and then you go watch a video sales letter, and then you're way more likely to get on a call. But on the other hand, for cold calling, you can scale it harder and more aggressively, and you can basically push it with numbers, even though call cancellation rate is higher. So basically, take it with a grain of salt. What I'm trying to show is basically how the model works and specific benchmarks that are fit for your business. You can basically figure out historically or again by talking to an expert. Then sales is just obviously sales that happened, sales rate. Now, the reason why I like to always include calls taken is because I have this habit I've always done it with my clients' businesses. I always calculate the sales rate based on the amount of calls taken because sometimes what would happen is, especially in the beginning of my career, we would calculate the sales rate based on the volume of total calls booked, and then it wouldn't do justice to salespeople because some weeks a lot of calls would actually not show up or be basically fake leads and stuff, and then a salesperson's sales rate would go down, but it wouldn't really do them justice. Now, obviously, if you follow modern sales gurus, and I mean it respectfully, like Jeremy Miner or Cole Gordon, I've personally worked with them as well. They say that hey, actual call attendance rate is still a salesperson's responsibility, which I agree. But still, if you're running a crap funnel to a crap audience, I think you have to be very careful to not basically put the blame on salespeople too much. So I like to keep it cleaner, yeah, cleaner, and then look at sales rate from calls taken separately. And look, if a sales rep's calls cancellation rate is 30%, and let's say Jim has 30%, and then Meredith has 10%, well, then I'm going to obviously talk with Jim because he's doing something wrong when it comes to follow up and making sure that his leads get on a call. Then self explanatory revenue and cash. Revenue is basically if your service is $4,000, hence 4 times 4,000, which is 16,000. Well, the upfront cash can be different, right? Maybe you enroll people on split payment plan, and instead, let's say you enroll 2 people and pay in full, and 2 people paid only half upfront, and then they'll pay the rest half later, right? Can be that. Cash profit is calculated by taking the cash that you made and then subtracting the amount of money you paid to actually acquire the leads. Revenue profit is the same, but with revenue, right? Now, cash ROAS is basically calculating how much money you made, like the return on your ad spend based on cash, right? So if you make $12,000 in cash and you spend $5,000, well, that's 240% ROAS, and revenue ROAS does the same thing. But now we've kind of like gotten the nomenclature down. Again, benchmarks you can set out your own. So, for example, CPL stands for cost per lead. It can be $10, $15. So, for example, if you want to set $10, you come to CPL, format, conditional formatting, and then you basically change this to 10. You change this to 10, happy days, right? And then, for example, if it is 10 and you punch in your data, and okay, it's gonna go light up or red or green, and then you know exactly what's happening. So let's look at some scenarios, right? Some cases. So the first one, week one, guys, I'm gonna hide this just for a sec. Okay, so let's start with the first one. We spent $5,000. We got 200 leads. CPL is $25. Okay, on par with our goals. CPA $250. Actually, I'm going through the entire thing. The most important thing you actually have to look at, and that's why such systems simplify your business, is because you focus first. You start from the few metrics that are the most important, right? You don't have to be doing this stuff and kind of like digging in too much every week if if these four numbers are good. Actually, I would say if these two numbers are good, if your ROAS is good. So if you know that for literally every dollar you spend, you make $2.40 back, and in the long term, when it comes to revenue, you make $3.20 back. Well, fantastic. Right now, what's a good number for you? You also have to. It also depend on your business, right? Because this is taking into account only the investment you make in acquiring the lead, as far as marketing is concerned. But if you, for example, have 20 people on 20 people on payroll, and you're paying like 50K or 100K per month in payroll, well, maybe, and you made this much money, and ROAS is positive, but it's probably not so good because the money you pay to your staff members and stuff is going to eat into this, and it's not going to be a very pretty sight, right? So take it with a grain of salt, because ROAS only measures your performance and compares it to your marketing budget. On the flip side, if this works and you're making a positive ROAS on $5,000, you can scale to $10,000. Now, here's the biggest part. When you're going to start scaling to $10,000, you will most definitely start seeing red. Red, things, sales going red here and there. And this is why you have a very simple tracking system like this, because it's actually going to help you understand what's breaking up so you can fix them really quickly, almost on like a week by week basis. So let's say, and let's obviously assume that in week one, for example's sake, you were spending $2,000 here, and then you try to scale to $5,000 in week two, and boom, okay, your CPA went up. Well, actually, again, sorry, we're going all the way to the right, and we're looking at the grand picture. We're seeing that we've lost $500 in cash profits. We've made revenue profit, right? $7,000, which is cool, but we actually lost upfront cash. And if you remember earlier in the video, I warned you that revenue is not everything. So basically, customer lifetime value is not everything. You also have to keep in mind the average order value, or the upfront cash you're making, and that also needs to make sense, because yeah, cool, you're making $7,000 here, but this revenue is going to hit your bank account in maybe a few weeks or months, but this money is leaving your bank account now. So you have to be very careful that this doesn't grow any bigger. $500, I don't think is a big deal, but if this goes to $5,000, well, it's a big deal, or even 50, who knows? It depends on your scale. Now, for cash profit, okay, things are not looking so good. And as you can see, ROAS also went to 90%. You would think 90%, a whole 90%. No, because the baseline for positive ROAS is 100%, it's not zero. So it went down, you lost 10% on the upfront. So essentially, this means for every dollar you spend now, you're losing 10 cents on the upfront, but you're still making $2.40 in the long run, right? So this should not be like a end of the world kind of scenario, but you still have to your kind of like spidey senses still have to go off as to make sure that this doesn't keep happening. Now, when we look at what might have caused the issue, obviously CPA went up. It didn't go up dramatically. It went up only by, say, around 22%, which is again $60. But I would keep a close eye on it. A funnel conversion rate also is not doing so well. Obviously, the reason why CPA is up. Now, also another interesting insight here is that the cost per lead didn't go up. It's just that fewer people opted into your funnel, right? So the funnel is the problem, not the leads. Now, if this continues, if it's 1 week, it's not a problem. It's probably going to bounce back up. It's not like you were getting great results with your video sales letter like for the last 10 weeks, and then week over week it just stopped working. Probably not the case. Probably leads that you got on the front end are kind of crap that week. But if this goes on for 5 weeks, yeah, something needs to be changed. Something needs to be changed. Maybe your video is getting outdated or too old. And but the big one for me in this case, in this scenario, is the 30% call cancellation rate. So what the heck is happening here, right? So I would take it to your sales team and talk to them and say, hey, what's happening? It actually just might be one salesperson who's effing everything up. It might be a call reminder sequence that basically stopped working because you're transitioning from Calendly to whatever, to some other, to schedule once or something, right? So this is interesting, right? And call cancellation rate doesn't just go up magically from 10 to 30. So it's an interesting thing, right, that I would inspect. And the rest of the things actually look good. Sales rate actually went up, great. But also, by the way, for each one of these metrics, I also have these separate sheets for marketing and sales that I'm going to be covering in the next videos. And this is where we're going to go deeper and more granular into actual marketing stats and sales stats, because these statistics here for vital KPIs are still fairly surface level. So, and then obviously let's look at the worst week of all and what might have gone wrong there. And as we're seeing, Jesus Christ, we lost $3,000, right, on the front end, right? Like, that's crazy. That's a lot of money, man. I mean, the good thing is that we collected 50% of cash, but it's still we spent $5,000, we lost $3,000. We also had only one sale. And the revenue is. We lost revenue as well. I mean, that's not good. That's not good. And the cash ROAS is 40%, and then revenue ROAS is 80%, which means on the front end, every dollar you spend, you lose 60 cents on it. And then in the long term, you're still losing money, which is the worst, right? So now if we look what's happening here, it becomes apparent that again, the issue is in the sales department, but this time it's the sales rate, right? Because the marketing is doing fine. Last week, marketing was kind of lacking, but as we predicted, marketing actually got better and it's delivering. But the sales, Jesus Christ, what happened to sales? Only one sale out of 18 calls taken, right? So what happened there? You want to go and talk to the sales team, right? Maybe your top performer, something is happening in their family, someone got sick, or I mean, at a drop rate like this, it's either coincidence, which can happen, and then there's going to be like a big rebound, and you'll get like 7 sales because salespeople are just having a bunch of follow-ups. They're supercharging, right, for the weeks to come, or it might be something awful wrong that happened, and you have to look into it. Now, obviously, guys, these are hypothetical scenarios, but I just wanted to show you that, look, if you run a business, it's an online service-based business, and it's a simple business model. You render a service or 2 or 3, and your business basically relies on generating leads, turning them into clients through a sales process, and then delivering this service. It's not rocket science. This sheet is going to cover you at least until $5 million per year. And then obviously you might have to change to something a bit fancier or sophisticated. But I literally, using the sheet, I helped Thorsten Kreutz, the coaching company, that you can check their testimonial video on my YouTube channel. We literally scaled to $680,000 per month using this sheet only. Alright, so I hope you liked the Google Sheet demonstration, and by now you see that it's actual simple math and very sound logic, and that you can start applying it to your business. And I'll be very curious actually how it works out for you. You can always come back to this video and make a comment about the big discovery that you made in your business. And I also remind you that this is video number 1 in the whole playlist of 4 videos that I named how to scale your business effortlessly. And the next 3 videos are going to be specifically about offer, marketing, and sales, where I'll actually individually break down each one of these elements and explain to you how to spot issues in each element respectively and quickly also solve them, obviously, so you can scale. Lastly, if you do run a service-based business and you would like me to have a personal audit of your business and basically run it through the same numbers that I'm showing in this video, also use a few other Google Sheets that I have it up my sleeve that will basically help me to pinpoint the specific issues that are preventing you from growing your business, then again, you can go to nazimconsulting.com and book a free strategy session. But that's it for this video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and then click to watch the next video.